Hi everyone, thank you for clicking on my video. And yeah, today I'm just gonna be talking about a story that really was like kind of it shook me. It was, I don't know, I actually still don't know how to feel about it, and I will express my thoughts towards the end. But yeah, how I came across the story, actually I was watching the El Chapo movie, and so I googled him because I wanted to know more. And then I went to the prison that he's in, the ADX prison, and I was like, okay, so who else is in there? Then I see this name and it says that Micheal Swango, Zimbabwean and American. Then I was like, no, this cannot be right. This cannot be right. No one from the motherland is capable of being in that prison. I mean, obviously there's bad people everywhere, but I was just interested, like, from Zim, really, what did he do? How did this come about? So I just had to know more. So this gentleman, or I wouldn't call him a gentleman, this person, um, Michael Joseph Swango, was born on the 21st of October in 1954. He was the second child out of three children. His mother was a homemaker, his father was in the military. He spent most of his time with his mother. They moved a lot, of course, being a military family. And yeah, he was very close to his mother. And his father, unfortunately, coming back from active duty, developed a drinking problem, and this caused his parents to divorce, leaving him staying with his mother. Academically, Michael Swango is said to have been really smart. He was valedictorian. I hope I said it correctly, because now in my head I'm like, is it Gala, Vala? I don't know. But yes, of his class in high school. And he went on to study chemistry as well. And he actually, that year that he graduated, he had the highest ranking marks in the whole country, the whole of the United States. So that was something to be very proud of. I mean, the whole country, yeah, he was really smart. So after studying chemistry, he went on to study medicine at Southern Illinois University, and he was noted to be someone who couldn't be critiqued or corrected, and he just had this fav, for lack of a better word. But yeah, he he would do push-ups continuously if he got things wrong. And I don't know, he seemed a bit off and a bit weird. And during this time he actually got a job as an ambulance driver, and it seemed that he concentrated more on that ambulance job than his actual academics. um yeah, and so while he was studying in his final year, he apparently forged a gynecology report and had to retake the year. They gave him a second chance, and he was able to graduate and secure a residency. Notably, the dean of his medical school wrote that he wasn't so great, but he still managed to get residency in neurosurgery at Ohio Medical Center. When he began his residency here, people just started dying, notably a 19-year-old who was hit by a car. Pelvis was fractured, she had bones broken, but she died of a heart attack, which is very suspicious that this woman was also an athlete. She was a gymnast. So it was very suspicious that a fit 19-year-old woman would die of cardiac arrest. It is also reported that at the time, one of the nurses on duty that night saw him disposing an injection, or a syringe. And it's like, why are you disposing a syringe? You're not even supposed to be injecting. So they had an inquiry into all of this. They got the nurse's side of the story, then they got his side of the story, and they blamed the nurses for being paranoid. This makes me so angry, because this is when he should have been stopped. They should have just really taken this seriously, and he should have just been stopped there and then, before he took more lives and wrecked people's, lives as well. So after this incident, he moved back to his hometown in Illinois, and he started working for an ambulance company as a paramedic. So everyone who worked with him thought he was kind of weird. I mean, literally, he would be so excited if there was like an accident or an explosion, anything else. He just didn't show interest, and he really seemed to like watching people die. So weird. And even when he wasn't on duty, he would go and take pictures of like the scene and everything instead of trying to administer IV or help resuscitate someone, give CPR. No, he was there to take pictures, and he was just obsessed with death. So while he was working here, people noticed that when he'd like bring donuts or anything, they just get sick, like his coworkers. And they really thought it was weird because why is it when Michael brings donuts, we get sick? Why is it when we ask him to make the tea or the coffee, we get sick? So it was very sus. Like everyone was really on the edge of on this. So they set a trap for him. One day when an accident happened and he was out with the other guy, the other two guys stayed, and I mean the other guys working there stayed, and they searched the stuff to find ant poisoning, and this ant poisoning has arsenic in it. And if you know, you know that heavy metals in the body are a no no. So then they had him prepare iced tea, unflavored sweetened tea apparently. And then they took a sample and got it tested actually at the university where he graduated chemistry. And they found that there was actually a lethal dose of this ant poison in that tea. So they involved the police after getting this toxology report, and he got sentenced to 5 years in prison. He only served two, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, he moved on. So after this, he kind of, took on a number of weird jobs. And notably, I took notice of this. His jobs usually included being in like close contact with people. So at one job, he was a counselor. I hope my spinning is not distracting. But the other job, he actually worked as a lab technician. So he was very like close contact. It's either he's dealing with your what's inside of you or just you. So he really just was obsessed with people at this point. So after all of this, in 1990, he decided, no, I studied for my medical degree. I'm going to use it. So he got a job as a resident at Sioux Hospital, Sioux Falls in South Dakota. Sorry, guys. I'm Zimbabwean, by the way. So yeah, in South Dakota. So they actually did a background check on him then, and they found out that he had this past, this criminal record. So they suspended him after that. So Mans decides that I need to go undetected. So he applies to another hospital and he uses the name Michael Kirk. He used forged documents. So for him, that was a win because they wouldn't be able to do a background check and because nothing would come out. And it's not like these days where you can just type in someone's name on Google and things would come up. No, it was totally different. It's 1990. So at this hospital, notably, he was treating this recovering cancer patient. And like the articles I read and everything were actually saying that this man was on the road to recovery. So I'm not gonna call him Dr. Swango. So anyway, Michael Swango asks the stepdaughter of this patient, does he have a DNR? DNR, also known as do not resuscitate, do not attempt pulmonary resuscitation, got long AKAs, or it's also called allow natural death, is a medical order. It can be written or given orally, your choice, indicating that in the circumstance or incident that someone goes into cardiac arrest, that you should not do pulmonary resuscitation, you should allow them to die. So apparently this patient did not want to have a DNR, and he stated that no, if something happens to me, resuscitate me. And I'm thinking, you're meeting a patient and this is one of the first things you ask them, like how sick can you be? You're already planning for their demise. That's just so sick. This man was, I don't have to explain it. We already know what happened next. But why? Why? Why, Michael? Why? So, anyway, there were other suspicious dates at this medical facility, but no one really suspected him. And if they did, they never really took a step further. But apparently, someone tipped off the hospital, and on the other article I read about this, it was his girlfriend's mother who tipped off the hospital because he was dating this young lady, and um, apparently he drained her bank account, and he was actually poisoning her as well. When does it end with you, Michael? When? So, and unfortunately, this lady actually ended up committing suicide because of him the day after she found out he drained her bank account. And because his his girlfriend had confided in her mother, her mom was like, "No ways, Jose's," and she went and she exposed him to the medical facility. And unfortunately, two doctors had to resign. Well, they resigned after finding out this was the head physician. But notably, one of them was like, no, he cannot get away with this anymore. So he literally wrote a note to every single medical school and teaching hospital in the whole of the United States and sent it out warning them about this man, Micheal Swango. He, at the moment, was not charged for anything. He literally was fired and just walked out of the door. I guess they didn't want a scandal or anything around it. So, yeah, he just carried on as usual. Then he started working at a water sanitation plant in Illinois. It's like, what is this with this man? And just, I don't know. And when they found out that, they made sure he was fired immediately because this poisoner at a water sanitation plant, who knows, he could have been poisoning the whole city for all he cared. As they were conducting this investigation at the previous hospital he was working at, they could not charge him with murder, but they, because it was a federal hospital, I think it was for veterans, they, however, charged him with, apparently it's illegal to lie for a federal, I don't really understand the law aspect of it, but yeah, that's, he was charged for forging his documents and lying on his resume and sending a fraudulent document using the US Postal Service. Crazy, right? So after they had filed charges against him, they started looking for Mans. Could they find Mans? No, they couldn't, because guess where he was? In the mist. He was in Zimbabwe. So Micheal Swango had got himself a job at Munene Mission Hospital. Munene is in Berengwa, in Zim, of course. So there he was working, and the nurses noticed that why is it when Michael's on duty, when he's working here, um, people are dying. And I tried to research as much as I could, but I also didn't want to make this video long. But one person notably said that, so one person who I saw who read an article covered this place sort of implied that, well, Zimbabwean professionals were not well trained, blah blah blah. But I'd like to say that in the early 90s in Zim, we were having kidney transplants, everything was going well, our health system was booming, and don't forget the Lutheran Mission Hospital he was at is and was well funded by the Lutheran Church, which is an international organization. So some of the things they were really saying, no, and I'm not just saying this because I'm patriotic and I'm from Zim, but this is true. And Zimbabwean healthcare workers are very thoroughly trained. I can tell you, for most countries in the world, resident students cannot do a lot of things, but if you go to Zim or the doctors doing their residencies can in fact do C-sections and the likes. And so yeah, that is not true. These are highly trained, highly qualified people, especially Zimbabwean nurses. I mean, all over the world, they are taking Zimbabwean nurses without having them taking further exams or anything, which just really proves that these were highly trained and well trained. So they noticed that these nurses at Nene Mission noticed that like people are just mysteriously dying. This is not normal when it's Micheal Swango around. People are just dying mysteriously. So they took up their concerns to the doctor who was there at the time, who was Dr. Christopher Zishiri, and Dr. Christopher Zishiri suspended him, as he should have done. So the official recorded number of deaths at the hands of Swango and in Birengwa at Mene Mission Hospital is 5. However, the villagers believe that it is over 10 people that succumbed to the sadistic man. I don't know how to describe it. And it makes me so emotional to think that he came in and he caused havoc in a community, because if you don't know what a rural setup is like in Zimbabwe, everyone knows everyone. People are related. You grow up with these people, you do everything together, you go get water together, you get firewood together. And it just makes me so mad. Like, think people, they are so close, they greet each other, they talk to each other, they call each other their totems, Tembo, Mwendamberi. One of Swango's victims luckily survived. She is still alive today. She is 73 now. She recalls her encounter with Dr. Swango, with Swango. She was in the hospital for something totally different, and he came in and he injected her by her shoulder, and she just said it felt so uncomfortable, it was painful, and from nowhere she just became unconscious. Luckily, the nurses were close by and they resuscitated her, and she said he came back for her. Like, when does it end? So he came back for her. He tried to inject her again, and she refused. And the next day, she called her husband and said, "Please get me out of here. This man is here to kill." There was another unfortunate case at the hands of Swango, Mrs. Nonsa, or Rhoda Maflamvama. Sorry, I know I said that wrong. Unfortunately, she was actually recovering from burns when Swango, the devil, entered her life, and he ended her. He injected her with a lethal dose, and she unfortunately died. Also, notably, the nurses noted that no matter how minor the patient's condition was, Swango often insisted that the patients be admitted into a ward, and they said that at this time the ward was always full. Like, why are you wasting resources just because you want to live out your fantasies? It makes me so mad, so mad. Another one of Swango's victims reportedly said that after Swango had injected him, and as he was losing consciousness, he was smiling, walking away from the cot, waving at him. Like, how sadistic can you be? Why are you smiling? Why are you waving? I don't know. I don't know. And during Swango's time there was a patient by the name of Katso Shava. He was admitted at Mene Mission Hospital for an operation, a minor leg operation. So he had his friends visiting him during the visiting hour, and Swango decided to walk in, and he told his friends, no, maybe let him rest. He needs time to rest and recover. And the friends said that as soon as they left Swango in there, they heard him screaming. And he started screaming for life. And when they came back, he was unconscious. and later on in that afternoon he died from paralysis and cardiac arrest. So I guess you can't die from paralysis. I guess he was paralyzed, and that paralyzed his heart muscle as well. And this just really made me so emotional. Like, you're in the hospital for a minor operation, you have, your friends are visiting you, you're looking forward to getting out of there, and then someone just comes and takes your life away from you. And I don't know, it angered me so much when I read this. I was so angry, like, why? Why? I said earlier, the residents of Berengwa also says that he killed over 10 people. So I'm just thinking to myself, like, how many lives he destroyed and changed. So he was fired, and guess what? Unlike in the United States, he decided to appeal this case, and he got David Coulter to represent him. If you know David Coulter, he's a human rights lawyer in Zim, and I can sort of picture this. I mean, being from Zim, that there was it's you know there was a race factor in this, saying no, they don't want me to work here or something. I can feel it. There was just some, he was trying to be a victim or say that he was a target, and so yeah. So he won his case, and unfortunately, and the hospital actually had to pay him a settlement. After this, because he was just suspended, he went on and he applied to go to Mpilo Hospital in Bulawayo. So I'm sure you know Mpilo Hospital is a big hospital um, in Bulawayo, and so he got a second job working at Mpilo Hospital, and apparently he never ever wanted to do his rounds with anyone. And usually doctors do rounds with nurses, so everyone just thought it was weird. And one of the doctors, one of the surgical residents who was there at the time, said that it was just odd that he always just liked walking around ICU, like just liked lurking around the intensive care unit all the time. So he was definitely obsessed with mysterious deaths and everything. The nurses also at Mpilo started raising their eyebrows and thinking, what's going on here? What do we have here? And there were actually two recorded incidences that I came across. The first one was a man who was recovering from, I'm not sure if it was a respiratory disease, but he was on the mend, he was good to go. And Swango just came in there. Oh, yes, I remember. He had his foot amputated. So Swango came in there when he was sleeping, and he just pulled his pants down and injected something and left. And this man began to scream for his dear life. And the nurses came in, they listened to his story, and of course they believed him because they found a syringe cap, and I think they were doing an investigation into this. But not long after, and people were still randomly just dying, people, patients that you don't expect to die. And then there was a lady in the maternity ward, and Swango came up to her and apparently injected something into her IV, and she started screaming, and the nurses came rushing, and she said no, he was doing something to my IV, injected something, and he insisted that no, I was just flushing it, which is not true. He actually injected something into her IV. And the good news is that she did survive this, and she was able to give birth to a beautiful baby. Unfortunately, the man who injected later developed some really life-threatening conditions because of what Swango had injected. So after this, then the police started closing in on him. The reports were just too many, and apparently when he was confronted, he's like, what's wrong with all of you? What is wrong with this country? Why are you always accusing me? This happened at Munene. Just throwing a big ass tantrum. Like, why? Why? You're guilty. Stop killing people. And yeah, so he got dismissed from this hospital, and the police started investigating. And apparently, they went to the room that he was staying at, and they found all these medicines that he shouldn't have had. And they asked him, "Why do you have them? It's not legal. You're not supposed to have any. To be having these." And he said, "If I tell you what he said, the audacity to come into our country and say that." He said that, "Well, I thought I was coming to the jungle, so I needed to have these things." Honestly, on. And who searched his bags at the airport? Please tell me. I mean, it's not funny, but it makes me so mad. So anyway, he then he joined the local church, and if you know them, you know that the racial tension is there. And he started staying with this white lady. She was actually a widow. Her daughter was moving to the United Kingdom, so she was very happy that this man is staying with my mom. It's gonna be great. But this lady just started getting migraines, you know, from nowhere, and Swango was apparently poisoning her slowly but surely. So particularly this woman he rented a room from. This was in Bulawayo, by the way. She just started getting sick, and then she went and consulted a doctor, and this doctor was like, "No, send hair samples to the lab," and lo and behold, arsenic poisoning. So these lab results were handed over to ZRP, the Zimbabwe Republic Police. And guys, if ZRP is looking for you, they're looking for you. Unfortunately, he had just skipped the border and gone to Zambia, worked there for a bit, and then went to Namibia. While he was in Namibia, apparently he got a job offer in Saudi Arabia. So this I'm not sure of, because there were so many people saying different things. One of the articles that I read said that no, he was transiting through the United States to go to Saudi Arabia. The other one said that no, he had to pick up his passport and to on his way to Saudi Arabia. So I don't know which is which. But he was so one of the guys at immigration just apparently said he just didn't like the way this man looked. Imagine just not liking how someone looks. So this guy at immigration looks up his name, sees that there's a warrant for his arrest, and he gets arrested um, for falsifying those documents. And he got charged. He pleaded guilty and went to jail. He was sentenced to 3 years in prison. They hadn't really charged him for the murders. So yeah, he was given his 3 years. And when he was about to, this is so twisted though, because when he was about to complete his sentence, he probably thought, okay, now I'm free, I'm going. They then charged him with, I think it was 4 murders. So he was only charged with 4 murders in the United States, not the ones from Zim. And he took a plea deal to avoid the death penalty. I'm not sure how this happened, because different sources say different things. He was apparently, one source that I read said that he was Zimbabwe did not pursue extradition. The other one, I don't know, but he was sentenced to 4 life sentences. He was sentenced to 4 life sentences. But as a Christian and a believer, I am just going to accept this, because I know that in Romans it says that we should respect those in authority, but I really feel like Zimbabwe should have really pressed for his extradition so that he'd be brought back and tried and charged, officially charged here. Well, not here because I'm not in them, but charged in the motherland. Let me come closer so you know how serious I am. This man, I know they say that in Zim he would have been hanged, but no. This man should have been given life in prison in Chikurubi maximum, D section Chikurubi maximum, because no, you cannot come here and cause havoc. Honestly, what have these innocent people done to you? Like an expecting mother, where is the humanity? A child is helpless. A child has done no wrong, a child that you don't even know. Like, how twisted and dark can you be? I personally believe that he should have been in prison in Zim and just gone through what prison in Zim is like. Like the stories I've heard from Chikurubi, he should have gone through that. He should have lived that, and he should have had his, or he's still alive, but he should have been able to have his final breath in Chikurubi because of the pain and everything. He robbed people of their parents, children. Like, you cannot just come to a country and just cause havoc. Like, I'm not saying that he should have stayed in the United States and caused havoc there, but I'm just saying that it's not right. And the mission hospital in Zim, you know, the people that go to a mission hospital, it makes me so mad. And ugh, but if you think this story is bad, wait for the next one. The story is about another doctor in Zim as well. I don't know. Just think of the people that go to a hospital. Think of the people that go to doctors. They're helpless. They are sick. They're trying to get better. They're trying to be more comfortable, ease the pain, and you just come here and make yourself God. This man should really have been in Chikurubi. That is what he deserves. But I don't know. It's up to the maker to decide. But no, he is just so twisted, so dark, makes me so angry. But if you think this is bad, my next story, oh, no, why come to Zimbabwe and cause problems for us? So yeah, unfortunately, this is the end of my video. Yeah, I know my storytelling isn't as great. I'm working on it. It's my first storytelling, and yeah. But thank you for watching. Please do consider subscribing. Love and light. Bye.